Here's the shocking truth about what really went down at the 2025 SMX Playoffs opener that nobody's talking about. And it's going to change everything you thought you knew about modern motocross. Let's not dance around what everyone witnessed this past weekend. The inaugural SMX Playoff round at North Carolina's SMX Dragway didn't just get interrupted by Mother Nature. It got completely demolished by her fury, leaving fans, riders, and the entire SuperMotocross series scrambling to pick up the pieces of what should have been a historic moment. The brutal reality? This marked the very first time SMX Playoff action aired live on NBC, promising to catapult the sport into mainstream consciousness. Instead, viewers got treated to recycled footage from previous seasons, while everyone waited helplessly for the storm to pass. Talk about a missed opportunity that probably cost the sport millions in potential new fans. But here's where it gets controversial. Was this really about safety, or did officials jump the gun too quickly? When lightning and torrential downpours invaded the Charlotte area, immediately following the opening 450 moto, track officials made the call that would define the entire weekend. Spectators found themselves evacuated to safety, while riders, teams, and broadcast crews sat in limbo for nearly 2 hours before organizers officially pulled the plug on the remainder of the program. Now, before anyone starts throwing accusations around, let's be crystal clear about something. Lightning safety protocols exist for legitimate reasons, and racing in electrical storms simply isn't negotiable in today's world. The controversy isn't about that decision. It's about what happened next. Here's the part most people missed. The weather actually cleared up enough that racing could have technically resumed. The track would have been an absolute mudfest, sure, but we've seen riders tackle worse conditions throughout motocross history. The real problem: daylight was rapidly disappearing, and SMX Dragway's lighting system couldn't provide adequate illumination for safe night racing. This raises a fascinating question that's got the entire paddock buzzing. Shouldn't a facility hosting major championship events in 2025 be equipped with proper lighting infrastructure? It's almost embarrassing that a premier motorsports venue lacks the basic equipment needed to handle weather delays. The ripple effects hit everyone differently. The SMX Next World All-Stars completely lost their opportunity to compete, though they'll get a makeup chance this Friday in St. Louis. Their Saturday gate pick will depend on Charlotte qualifying results, which adds another layer of complexity to an already messy situation. Speaking of messy, let's talk about what riders were actually dealing out there before the weather intervened. If you thought previous SMX tracks were gnarly, the Charlotte circuit redefined the meaning of treacherous. Track designers created what appeared to be a relatively straightforward layout, but Thursday's heavy rainfall transformed it into something resembling a medieval torture device for motorcycles. The outdoor sections became particularly vicious after track crews mixed mulch and sand with the notorious Carolina clay. When Thursday's moisture penetrated deep into this mixture, it created ruts and unpredictable surfaces that would make seasoned pro motocross veterans nervous. Meanwhile, the indoor supercross sections weren't providing any relief. Jumps were developing massive ruts, and the extended rhythm lane was causing havoc for anyone brave enough to attack it. Eli Tomac perfectly captured the insanity when he described it as one of the most interesting tracks I've ever ridden. And coming from a rider of his caliber, that's saying something significant. He emphasized how riders had to navigate crazy deep motocross ruts before immediately transitioning to technical supercross rhythm sections. It's like asking someone to switch between playing chess and running a marathon every 30 seconds. But here's what's really got people talking. Were these conditions actually too dangerous for professional racing? The carnage certainly suggested something was seriously wrong. Ryder Malinowski, Christopher Harris, and Landon Gibson all experienced major incidents during SMX Next practice sessions alone. Gibson made the smart call to sit out the main event entirely, planning to return for St. Louis, a decision that looked brilliant in hindsight when the races got canceled anyway. Seth Hamaker provided the weekend's most spectacular crash during qualifying, somehow walking away completely uninjured in what looked like a career-ending incident. His teammate Garrett Marchbanks wasn't quite as fortunate, going down early in the 250 race and getting transported off the track with a suspected leg injury. Fortunately, early reports suggest he'll be ready for this weekend's St. Louis round. The most serious incident involved Red Bull KTM's Julien Beaumer, who suffered a devastating crash in the big rhythm section. Social media updates later revealed he sustained a burst fracture in his L3 vertebra, requiring immediate surgery. While he's reportedly on the road to recovery, it's another stark reminder of just how thin the line between glory and disaster really is in this sport. And this is the part most people miss. Are we pushing these athletes beyond reasonable limits in the name of entertainment? Now let's dive into the actual racing drama that unfolded before Mother Nature crashed the party. Justin Cooper entered Charlotte wearing the red plate as the 450 points leader for the first time in his career. A milestone moment that lasted about as long as a TikTok video. Cooper's terrible start left him buried in last place, more than 10 seconds behind 21st position. While he managed an impressive charge back to 11th place, the damage was catastrophic for his championship hopes. Cooper now sits third in the standings, trailing new points leader Jett Lawrence by 11 crucial points. If there's one rider desperately wishing those second motos had happened, it's definitely Cooper. He needed redemption badly, and the weather robbed him of that opportunity. Meanwhile, the defending champions made their intentions crystal clear from the opening gate drop. Haiden Deegan and Jett Lawrence entered their third SMX Playoff campaign as the only champions in the series' brief history, carrying enormous pressure to repeat their dominance. Both riders delivered performances that reminded everyone exactly why they're considered the gold standard in their respective classes. Deegan's 250 ride was particularly impressive, methodically working his way through the field before hunting down early race leader Seth Hammaker. Despite Hammaker building a commanding 12-second advantage, Deegan steadily erased the gap before taking control and cruising to a dominant victory. The way he managed both speed and strategy was a masterclass in championship-level racing. Jett Lawrence's 450 performance was equally commanding, though in a completely different style. Lawrence grabbed the early lead and simply managed the race from there, maintaining roughly a 2-second cushion throughout the entire duration. It looked almost effortless, the kind of race management that separates good riders from generational talents. But here's where things get controversial. Are these two riders making the sport boring by being too dominant? While predictable results might not create the most exciting television, both champions face intensified pressure moving forward. The SMX Playoff format features double and triple point rounds, meaning a single mistake can completely derail championship aspirations. There's literally zero margin for error when the stakes get multiplied. Let's talk about some surprising performances that flew under the radar. RJ Hampshire's 450 SMX debut deserves way more attention than it's receiving. After moving up from the 250 class for pro motocross, Hampshire established himself as a legitimate threat, earning multiple top 5 finishes and even securing an overall podium at Ironman. Many expected the transition to 450 Supercross elements would create significant challenges, and Hampshire himself downplayed expectations in pre-race interviews. Instead, Hampshire picked up exactly where he left off outdoors, battling his way to 5th place and making a crucial late race pass on Ken Roczen to secure the position. He's rapidly approaching that elite podium tier rather than settling into the 7th to 10th range most predicted. Shimoda's race perfectly illustrated both the promise and frustration of championship contention. Early in the 250 moto, Shimoda was mounting a serious challenge to race leader Seth Hammaker when disaster struck. He clipped a tough block and went down hard, dropping outside the top 10. What happened next showcased exactly why Shimoda represents Deegan's biggest threat. He charged back through the field to 4th place, eventually inheriting 3rd when Levi Kitchen received a penalty for passing under a Red Cross flag. More impressively, Shimoda recorded the fastest lap time of the race by nearly a full second, proving his speed was absolutely on point. The problem? Instead of leaving Charlotte tied in points with Deegan, Shimoda now trails by 8 points and faces a must-win scenario moving forward. Championship momentum is everything in this sport, and that crash might have cost him more than just track position. Valentin Guillauld's SMX debut provided fascinating insights into how international talent adapts to this unique format. After an impressive pro motocross rookie season, featuring 5 top 10 finishes and 9th in the final standings, many wondered how the Swiss rider's skills would translate to the combined discipline. Guillauld ran a solid 12th position until a final lap crash dropped him to 14th. Still a respectable showing for someone learning the SMX ropes. This weekend's St. Louis round should provide better insight into his indoor capabilities. Cooper Webb's quiet 7th-place finish carries more significance than the result suggests. After dropping out of pro motocross due to knee surgery, Webb arrived in Charlotte admittedly underprepared. However, with St. Louis taking place in a traditional supercross venue, conditions should favor the 3-time 450 SX champion significantly more. Perhaps the most encouraging performances came from Austin Forkner and Ryder DiFrancesco, who finished 5th and 6th respectively while showcasing improvements in their weakest areas. Forkner has struggled with starts all season, often mentioning how uncomfortable he feels racing in mid-pack traffic. At Charlotte, he finally nailed a good start and ran as high as 2nd place before settling into a season-best 5th. Sometimes confidence is everything, and this result could unlock his true potential. DiFrancesco typically shows early speed before fading as races progress, but Charlotte flipped that script entirely. He charged from mid-pack to 6th place, displaying the kind of late race pace that suggests podium potential is finally returning after his early season injuries. For both riders, strong SMX playoff campaigns could provide crucial momentum heading into the off-season and 2026 preparation. Now here's the million-dollar question that's got everyone talking. Did this weather-shortened event actually benefit some riders, while devastating others? Championship hopes? Think about it. Cooper desperately needed redemption after his terrible start, while Deegan and Lawrence were perfectly content, banking maximum points from dominant rides. The cancellation essentially locked in results that heavily favor the championship leaders, while denying struggling contenders opportunities to recover. Is this fair? Should there be provisions for makeup motos when weather interferes with championship events? The current format treats these abbreviated results as completely official, which seems problematic when title fights hang in the balance. What do you think? Should SMX implement backup plans for weather delays, or is this just part of outdoor motorsports that riders need to accept? Are Deegan and Lawrence making the sport too predictable, or does their dominance represent the natural evolution of elite-level competition? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Are you team weather happens, deal with it, or do you believe championship events deserve special consideration when Mother Nature interferes? This controversy isn't going away anytime soon, and your voice matters in shaping how the sport handles these situations moving forward.